Today's show and the following message are brought to you by Veterans for Cannabis. Veterans for Cannabis is the leading provider of full-spectrum hemp oil, where $10 from every purchase of their 1-ounce hemp oil goes directly to supporting veterans to offset the cost of alternative medicine. Visit www.vfcusa today and support veterans who need access to cannabis medicine.
We are the Waze meets Yelp for the alternative health space. And obviously that's a large burden to carry. And it takes some dollars to get that bus moving and make everything come to fruition the way we want it to.
From Bummin' Media, it's the MJBulls Podcast, a show about raising cannabis capital. I'm Dan Humiston, and on today's show, how Peter Calfee's company GoFire's idea for a unique cannabis delivery system morphed into something that no one could have imagined. Today we're joined by Peter Calfee, the CEO of GoFire. Peter, thanks for being on the MJBulls Podcast.
Dan, I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Me too. I want to talk about the complexity of cannabis because that has a lot to do with your company and what you do. There's an unlimited potential just because of how complex it is. But the bad news is that complexity makes it very difficult for people to prescribe cannabis because there's not like a one-size-fits-all. Can you explain how this complexity becomes both a blessing and a curse?
Yeah, of course. With this plant, it's one of the most complex plants out there. We're dealing with upwards of 700 different chemical compounds contained within the plant itself, and obviously at different potencies throughout. The goal here is how do you create a consistent, repeatable experience as we start thinking about bringing this plant into the pharmacopoeia as a potential mainstream medicine?
It's not just the plant, it's also the delivery method, the way that you ingest it, whether it's smoking or taking gummies or vaping. Your body responds different to those too, so all of this stuff has to be factored in when you're making these decisions. You guys went with an inhaler. Explain why an inhaler versus another delivery method.
The first thing we went to tackle was the ability to create a consistent dose. So our first prototypes, we were able to achieve that. It was actually easier than we expected. But then all of a sudden we realized that we only had half the picture. We were missing, again, not just knowing how much we were taking to our body, but also of what. That's when we came out with, again, what we call the smart cartridge. And that's a little microchip that fit on the back of our cartridges for our meter dose inhaler and communicates back to our servers the chemical profile of what's contained within that specific product. When we made that jump to this smart technology, this IoT technology, we realized again that we needed an app that would act as a conduit to speak to the server. Now, when we started developing that app, we realized this could also be a place for the consumer, the patient, to actually journal what products are working best for them and rate on a 5-star rating scale how well different products are working for each specific ailment or use case. From there, again, we took the mentality of Waze, this idea of how do you build a community of individuals who are willing to give feedback to their neighbors and to their community onto which products are working best and why. Now I can just go in and I can search for pain, insomnia, anxiety, PTSD. It'll actually generate and populate what products are available within my specific area that work best for those reasons.
Just a quick thank you to one of our sponsors. Bridgewest LLC is one of the first accounting firms in the world to focus solely on the cannabis industry and is your one-stop provider for accounting, audit, tax, and advisory service. They're offering a free 30-minute intro call to one of their leadership teams to all MJBulls listeners. Go to bridgewestcpas.com, and now back to the show. I saw on your website that you don't just track information that's coming from the inhaler, you're also tracking through, you call it the dose code, people's activities with other products. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's correct. The idea is that we put a little code on the packaging on all these other products in the marketplace. And you can go in and purchase a product, and then on that product, there'll be a little code, and you can scan in that code, and then you can rate the effects of that product.
You also are providing the physicians with this data. You're aggregating all this data and you're providing it in a physician's portal. Talk a little bit about that.
So with the physician's portal, how the system works is that patient is rating each product on a 5-star rating. Did it work for my insomnia? Did it work for my anxiety, et cetera, right? So we can actually do, again, all in real time, we can actually notify that physician if that patient is showing a low efficacy, if the product's not working. So now instead of that patient having to wait for the next time they're going in to see their physician to let them know, that physician sits down at their computer, opens up the portal, and you might have 100 patients on the platform and sees a little exclamation point next to a couple of those patients that, again, are either showing low efficacy or were over-consuming or even might have missed a dose. An opportunity to then reach out to that patient and correct the problem.
Wow.
Outside of that, again, because we're creating this ecosystem of feedback, that physician also has a guide to help them figure out which product they should point their patient to, and then at what dose might be most efficacious for the specific situation.
So wait a minute, you have all of this data, but there's so many other things that you could do with this data, and it's so valuable to everyone. What's your plan with all this data?
If you look at any other industry, the most valuable data sets out there are the consumer use data sets. So it's completely anonymous, but what we're able to do is throughout this information, this data aggregation platform, we're actually able to start seeing insights into market use trends, as well as, again, the essentially crowdsourcing the pharmacodynamics behind this plant, how these specific chemical compounds are working for different consumers and patients to solve a problem. Being able to own the consumer use data in this space is a pretty incredible place to be. And I'll be candid, we did not realize what we were walking towards as we were walking there. But again, just having access, again, for the first time, we are the only company that's able to collect the efficacy data, the market use trends, market research trends. And again, the benefits for this, we can then funnel this information. Again, it's completely anonymous, but we can funnel this information back to the manufacturers, back to the retail locations, back to the consumers, obviously to help them find better products more fit to a specific need or ailment, and obviously the advertisers as well. So we can start to identify where to best spend our dollars as businesses within the space.
You know, I started to say a minute ago, this is a great idea, but it's way beyond an idea. You've done all the hard work, everything in place right now. Where do you go next?
So as of right now, we're on the very tail end of our third round of funding. We've raised to date a little, just over $4 million. We will be opening up our next round of funding here in the next couple months, which is really, again, our war chest and allows us to scale into Canada, continue to scale in the US, bring it to Europe, et cetera, and allow for, again, that scaling on supply chain. We are the Waze meets Yelp for the alternative health space. And obviously that's a large burden to carry, and it takes some dollars to get that bus moving and make everything come to fruition the way we want it to.
Well, we've been speaking with Peter Calfee, the CEO of GoFire. All their information is on the MJBulls, will be on the MJBulls website at MJBulls.com. If somebody is interested in investing in GoFire, who's the point person on this one?
As of now, I'm the one that's handling all of the investor relations. You can reach me via email at peter@gofire.co. Again, that's peter@gofire.co.
I can't wait to watch this thing play out. Thanks so much for sharing this with us today.
Hey, Dan, it's an absolute pleasure. We're looking forward to the future, and I'd say we're just getting started.
Me too. I'd say you're just getting started as well. Good luck. Hey, just a quick reminder that you can become an MJBulls member for only $4.99 a month and enjoy exclusive access to companies' information like their pitch decks and investment opportunities. Sign up today at MJBulls.com. Thanks for listening to the MJBulls podcast. To learn more about today's guests or to apply to be a guest, visit our website at MJBulls.com. And if you like our show, give us a review on iTunes. Today's show was produced by Bummin' It Media. I'm Dan Humiston, and you've been listening to the MJBulls Podcast.